So I'm going to follow up on some comments from a video that I commented on some time ago. The video is the original program that I saw, seated occipital left, which I saved parts of this. I recorded parts of this, and so it won't disappear. But this video right here, which is not on my channel, H. Mullen, I think. Seated occipital lift chest contact, Dr. Hunter A. Mullen. And so I got a comment this morning. I had made a comment before. This was a year ago. I said, so where did this move come from? Dr. Earl Franklin Creighton, perhaps. By the way, you are doing it wrong. I should know. I'm Dr. Creighton's firstborn granddaughter who learned his work. And he said, thank you for your feedback. I'm not familiar with Dr. Creighton. I believe I learned that type of adjustment from Dr. L. John Fay of the Motion Palpation Institute. And then I go into the facts, and I'll just go ahead and read it. Dr. Creighton published in the chiropractic journals in the 80s. His last article was the centerfold on the controversial issue of philosophical constructs for the chiropractic profession's second issue, published in 1992. That one was controversial. I'll go ahead and just flip this. That one was controversial. Yeah, he was the centerfold. And you can look it up yourself, but it's here. I'll put the screenshots to my website or my probably my Instagram account, just so it doesn't appear. I always check the screenshots so these things don't disappear, but I'll read it. He says, the technique you are showing is very close to Dr. Creighton's maneuver to correct the position of the head, but as I said, it's actually not being done properly. They don't know what they're doing. Grandpa used to say that the chiropractors believe that they are an expert on his methods because they shook the hand of a hand that shook his words. I know that he never did sanction any chiropractor to be expert in his methodologies, which they knew as the Creighton method. In fact, I was asked by an attorney in New York, up in Minneapolis, I think that was 2004. She said, do the chiropractors call it the Creighton method? I'm like, oh my God, where did you hear that? She said, I can't tell you. I don't know. She said, but I've heard it. I said, yes, that's exactly what they did. They called it the Creighton method. My grandfather was very well known. I said, when I first became involved back in 1988, he was still looking for a chiropractor to come learn it from him so that they could then carry it to the chiropractic profession. He even sent me out there to find this elusive promoter. Well, none was ever found. At best, anyone who spent any time to watch the maneuver only wanted to file it in with the rest of their moves. So the importance of positioning the head on top of the spine was never fully realized by the chiropractic industry, and it wasn't. Even now, they're talking about decompressing. They're disguising it. That's when nerve signal interference removal was born. I vividly remember Grandpa pounding his fist on the kitchen table 2 weeks before he dies and adamantly telling me to make the chiropractors pay me. He lived nearly 100 years. I used to tell Mom that the chiropractors were waiting on him to die. She didn't want to believe that. Anyway, now that you've heard the backstory, I would like to say that I am the only one who fully understands what his work will do. I'm also the only one who is fully qualified to perform his maneuvers, since I actually spent the time with him to learn them completely. It disturbs me to see that the chiropractors would make the attempt to plagiarize his work, especially since they actually fought to destroy his research. I am still in the position to make a peace offering, but for me to be able to do that, it is necessary that the family finally be respected. You have no idea the trials that have been forced on me, simply because I couldn't let his research die with him. And some idiot says, ma'am, this is a Wendy's. I said, honey, you're the bloke behind the counter. Then today, the one that caught my attention and brought me back to this, I'll flip this. This Gideon Orbach. He said, I learned this move from both L.J. Fay and Terry Elder through the Motion Palpation Institute 25 years ago. If my child wanted to be a chiropractor, I would insist that she attend workshops with Dr. Mullen. You shouldn't be so quick to criticize something different from what you know. And I answered him, and now the only way you can find this comment is you have to go under the newest first, and it might be deleted, but let me go ahead and read this. I said, I know that my grandfather, Dr. Earl Franklin Creighton, was the originator of this move, and Mullen is doing it wrong. I have proof of this on my channel if you want to look. The seated occipital lift in chiropractic fails and cannot compare to Dr. Creighton's method, which is now nerve signal interference removal. If I was wrong, they wouldn't have a generic term with no name attached. They wouldn't either. That's the telltale right there. By the way, Dr. Creighton was published on his unique methods in the 80s. I actually helped him with those papers and was the unnamed co-author. That was well over 35 years ago now, and in 1991 I used the perfected move to fix the position of the occiput of the OBCE's future president here in Oklahoma. Do your homework. A plagiarized version of Dr. Creighton's maneuver is not the same thing as the real McCoy. My statistical success rate proves that as well. And that's the simplicity of it all. Forget the argument. Let's just take the clinical trial. Hands down, I will beat any of them. I don't care who they are. I know what I'm doing. And here's the proof. And here is what it is. Let me show you this one. This guy, he says, what is the effect of occipital lift? And Hunter makes the attempt to answer him. He says the suboccipital area is often stiff with restricted mobility. This manipulation helps to restore normal motion. Now let me explain something to you. There is a difference between manipulation and adjustment. They interchange those terms. First it's an adjustment, then it's a manipulation. The way they do it, it's a manipulation. A manipulation is not specific. It only increases range of motion. It has nothing to do, it has no goal in mind of an actual placement. So he's specifically calling it a manipulation at this point. And he's talking about restoring motion. They're talking about things being stuck. I answered him, and I told him, I said, that's the wrong answer. If it's done right, the goal is to correct the position of the head in relation to the atlas, which eliminates the primary nerve signal interference. By the way, this is not actually a chiropractic move. It belongs to the science of nerve signal interference removal founded by Dr. Earl Franklin Creighton. I do have 3 thumbs up on that one. Somebody's seen it. And what I find interesting, because 2 weeks ago, and here is the same comment, I took screenshots of everything. It belongs to the science of nerve signal interference removal founded by Dr. Earl Franklin Creighton. 2 weeks ago, this Sensible. Now, exclamation point. That's an answer, and he's clapping. Yep. And it's gone. But I made the comment first, which brought, Hunter's attention to this thread. And you can't find my answer under the top comments, but if you look under, the newest comments, you can see it. So the level of fight I have to put up in order to be able to be heard by these so-called experts is ridiculous. I need to be on Joe Rogan. Hi, Joe. You would love what I've got. I wish you could get inside my head. You would have a heyday with this. Chiropractic needs to be shut down. They need to stop. They need to, in the public, they're going to be up in arms. But you know what? The government, if they were any good, the government would just say, wait a second here, we finally have the facts brought to our attention, and we are going to make you aware of where the source is at, and we're going to fix this. So if you want to actually get to the real McCoy, go to Oklahoma. So once again, comparison. The suboccipital, which is below. The suboccipital area is often stiff with restricted mobility. This manipulation helps to restore normal motion. He doesn't say anything about specifically placing it. Nope. And I straighten him out. He never said anything to that. But now that's an answer, was brought to his attention apparently because he looked over the stuff today and he deleted it. So who's the expert? I am. Yep. And I'll tell you, if you look at all these idiots, the chiropractors doing all their cracking and snapping and popping and snapping and, trying to explain the occipital lift, they honestly do not know what they're doing, because here's the reason why. The anatomical design in their textbooks is wrong on the occipital joint. There's twice as many joint surfaces up there as what they realize, and it is key in understanding the position as the head subluxates or partially dislocates in relation to the atlas. You've got to understand what that is. There is 4 possibilities, 4 variables that I am not going to define here, but it's listed on my website, and I have talked about it before. But there is 4 possibilities. Everything that they're doing is only considering 2. That means they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't. And they need to be shut down. So this Gideon Orbach chiropractor, if you want to learn it right, I'm in Oklahoma, and you better get your money out, because I'm pissed. Yep. It's time to come clean, and I won't accept anything less.